welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So the reactionary attacks, the jackals and hyenas of the reactionary camp are saying unemployment benefits, jobless insurance are a bad thing. We can't afford it anymore. Well, this goes back to the Social Security Act of 1935, boys. That was the depths of a depression caused primarily by the bankruptcy of the British pound in 1931, which destroyed world trade. We could afford it then. How come we can't afford it now in your world of phony baloney globalization? Globaloney is responsible for a lot of this stuff, the hot money economy. But here's the idea with Laffer. He says effectively that it's wrong to make unemployment attractive. The entire method here is that of a radical subjectivist. In other words, it's what do you want to do? I would ask Laffer, what is your approach if there are no jobs? Real world, objective reality, not an opinion, not anybody's subjective view of anything. There are no jobs. 5 job seekers for every job. 4 of them are doomed to fail, Laffer, no matter what you think, no matter how attractive, unattractive either side of the equation might be. He says basically that it's, robbing Peter to pay Paul, all this stuff. Resources given to the unemployed have to be taken from somewhere else. There is no tooth fairy, or as my former colleague Milton Friedman repeated time and time again, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Well, once in a telephone interview, this same Laffer was asked, the conversation went like this. Laffer says, you want to prove Milton Friedman is a fascist? It's easy. Quote him. You can see that in print. The tooth fairy, huh? Well, here's the answer to that. This is the idea that money is somehow metaphysically real. It is not. Money is a political fiction. If you have empty factories that are lying idle, and if you have unemployed skilled workers who are capable of imparting high value, money is simply an efficient means of bringing them together and restarting production. But all the money in the world wouldn't get a factory going if you didn't have the factory and the skilled workers. Once you have them, it's really pretty simple to produce the required quantity of money. Any national bank, central bank can do that if it wants to. So the answer is, yes, in a way there is a tooth fairy. The tooth fairy is you take over the Federal Reserve, you force them to issue 0% development credit creation for job creation. Seize that central bank. Get control of the credit creation power. 0% credit for great projects of national infrastructure and for tangible physical wealth, concrete manufacturing production in every way. And you begin then to get out of that depression. And that's the answer, right? When they say, well, the alternative, and you hear this from Rubini too, either raise taxes or cut services. Terrible choice. Both fail. Both are useless. The middle way, so to speak, is the one we want, the way of the American system of political economy. So, therefore, we want this unemployment bill passed. We want the money, the $20 billion or whatever it is, for the 300,000 teachers. We got the New York City Schools Commissioner saying if he doesn't get some money soon, he's going to have to fire 5,000 teachers. You get the idea. Plus, we need the doc fix. We don't want a 21% cut in Medicare reimbursements to people. Now, on this similar topic, let's go a little bit further here with economic theory. Here, the Wall Street Journal is going big on this stuff. So here we have the Wall Street Journal of Wednesday, July 7th. Keynes versus Hayek. The great debate continues. And this goes back, this is an article by a certain Robert O'Driscoll of the Cato Institute. Oh, my God, a libertarian from Austria, the Viennese school, the Viennese disease, once again. He was vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. How very libertarian of him. So he goes back to letters to the London Times, October 17th, 1932. Keynes and a group of economists say, we need spending, any kind, public or private, whether it's consumption or investment, makes no difference. And then on the following day, the 2 days later, October 19th, 1932, pretty deep in depression. We're about 5 months from Hitler seizing power. Some professors led by Hayek come forward and say, no, this is wrong, and above all, we can't have any more public debt, we can't have any more government spending. Instead, they say, here's what Hayek says, here's how you get out of a depression, according to Hayek. To abolish these restrictions, abolish all tariffs, basically, abolish all restrictions on trade and the free movement of capital. So free trade and hot money is what Hayek wants. Free trade and hot money. Hands off, laissez-faire, free trade, hot money. Well, that's pretty good summary of what got us into the present hole once again. Remember that one of the tenets of Hayek's Austrian school is that it is sacrilegious to interfere with the course of a depression. However, the main lesson we want to draw from this, Keynes versus Hayek, the great debate continues. Both are wrong. Both are bankrupt. Both are fundamentally un-American and foreign, because here we have the American system of political economy. That means Alexander Hamilton. That means Friedrich List of Pennsylvania. That means Henry Carey, main economic advisor to Lincoln, Justin Morrill of the Morrill Tariff and the Morrill Act. And then we go to the 20th century, Franklin D. Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, and in the better moments, Lyndon B. Johnson. But primarily, let's look at List and Carey, since they are theoretical economists. And they would go with what I've just been saying, that a hot money recovery won't get you anywhere. But neither will the approach by Keynes. Now, here's the problem with Keynes. Keynes and his group says any kind of spending, private or public, consumption or investment, you don't get out of a depression with consumption alone. Again, you have to maintain levels of consumption because you've got to maintain your workforce, as I've just been arguing, your mental capital and your human capital. But you cannot assume that will end the depression. This is a matter of capital investment, capital goods, heavy industry, long-term capital goods creation. So therefore, the American system would be the alternative that we've just been talking about. You get control of the central bank, 0% credit for productive activity only. You launch a vast program of public works. That would be 1,000 modern hospitals to meet the U.S. hospital deficit. You'd also have to train 250,000 doctors. You're going to need 100 nuclear reactors of the most modern type. You got to fast-track that because we haven't built anything since Carter and 3 Mile Island. You're going to need to rebuild the entire interstate highway system. You're going to need to rebuild the entire water systems. Southern Maryland here, the D.C. suburbs, still groaning under a 96-inch pipe that had to be closed down, right? The car wash places in the D.C. suburbs on the Maryland side and into the district are not working because there are mandatory water restrictions. And so on. You've got to launch a rebuilding of your water systems, your sewage systems. You got to get back to canal building. You've got to get heavily into fast rail. The basic thing would be 50,000 miles of fast rail and maglev rail, urban mass transit, all the kinds of infrastructure. These are capital investments. This is not something that's gone after a year. They're going to be around for decades, and even centuries. They keep on giving. That's a capital budget. And once you do that, you get the actual multiplier. So that would be the American system answer to this idiotic Keynes versus Hayek, both of whom, by the way, go right back to the British East India Company, as I'll just note in passing in our next segment. See you in a second here.